In today's episode, I'll be giving my reaction to the second episode of Survivor's 49th season titled Cinema. At least that's what this episode is called, Cinema. Now, was this episode truly cinema? Let's find out. Do something, man. People are questioning you. Shut up. Shut up. Okay, yep, do that. Sure, guys. Stupid and dumb. Just an idiot. Get your shit together, son. Fuck it. I loved it. Welcome to the dub cast. Starting out the episode, we're back with the Blue Tribe, just having voted out Nicole, and they are the quote-unquote disaster tribe of the season so far. So of course they have not been able to eat anything, and they pull off the classic move of eating worms. Now, some people out there know from my childhood that I used to, when we played with Wad, turn over the bases, see the worms. Man, eating a worm would be weird because if you cut them in half, they're still alive. So, what's the biological process that they die? Are they just gonna live on in you? Like, I don't like that. I probably would do it though, just for the TV moment. Like, you get a free TV moment. Yeah, I think Jeremiah ate the worms. One other guys ate the worms. So, interesting. Not sure if I'd do it. Would you eat the worms on Survivor? I think you have to. I mean, well, granted, it's early in the game, so I don't know. Nonetheless, we kick back with we have the dynamics on this tribe already being set up from last episode. Obviously, it was between Andy and Nicole. So, right off the bat, I'm like, I know it's going to happen in this episode. Andy's downfall is going to be bad. Now, I know there's always because I don't podcast live and watch things live. Maybe that's something I need to do. But y'all gonna say I'm a LeBron moment, but I mean, this was one of the most obvious boots of Survivor in the past couple episodes. I think. Well, I don't know. I feel like so far these two episodes have been pretty obvious on who's gonna go home. So Annie, I just thought her downfall was gonna be pretty bad. She's pushing Jake after you're the disaster tribe. These people haven't eaten. You're pushing the dude who's like 250, jacked, gonna win you every challenge or try be a good challenge asset. Plus, they just had, I think, none of the. Well, they did technically have a tribe swap in season 45, but I think none of that. It's very unlikely for the odd new era seasons to have a tribe swap, and we know it's coming in Survivor 50. We know that there's some tribe swaps there, so I doubt they're gonna have a swap this season. Maybe they will though, but I feel like I don't know. You can't depend on a swap. You get rid of Jake, all of a sudden you have Annie, Sophie, Alex, and Jeremiah. Granted, they could have the kind of camaraderie or whatever, but I think you'd be stacked up pretty badly. But Annie is delusional. She thinks she's running everything, which I haven't listened to Annie's exit interview. That probably would be enlightening. And once again, we're late on the Survivor coverage. Sorry to come a couple days late here. I was trying to work out a guest, didn't work. I gotta be better organized. There's a lot going on this weekend with UFC. NFL was late, so yeah. I did watch the episode live, so at least we had that. So yeah, Andy says we can't take Jake to the merge. I think Jake's actually the perfect person you want to bring to the merge. Look at the past couple seasons. It's someone like Kyle in season 47. Yeah, he made it a long time, but every time he loses, he's gonna be the main target. I guess they're coming off watching season 48 where the big people just made it to the end, but I don't know. I feel like in a prototypical Survivor season, the big guys usually get out mid merge, early merge. So I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I guess you have to push your case, but this is Annie's early episode case because she's also going to change it around. So, back on the Red Tribe, the shenanigans continue. I guess it's not shenanigans for some people. Shannon, me and my friend Jordan, who's on the pod last week, were talking about this. He said he's a person who meditates, but it's not the time to do it on Survivor. I would be totally out on this stuff. I would not do any of this. I mean, I would have to, I think, because you have to pretend to blend in, but I don't know, man. Now they catch a crab and she's praying for the crab. I don't think me and Shannon would coexist in a tribe well together. I just don't think that would be something that would work, unfortunately. So I'm out on Shannon as well. I have to be in on Shannon because I think she's playing a decent game right now. But if I were out there with her, she is from Boston. I'm from Rhode Island. Maybe we could make a connection over that. But I don't know, bro. I feel like I'd be. This is this is the exact scenario that I'm worried about would happen if I go on Survivor. Like I'm matched up with a bunch of Shannons. No offense, but I just think I would do pretty bad if that was the case. I'd like drive myself crazy. So she's praying for the crab. You know, I respect religion. Good for you. Pray for the crab. You're about to kill it. Need it. Funny scene with brain rot making it onto the show, and now obviously we saw the preview of season 49. Rizzo talking about the Riz God, and then really it's kind of the bottom of not at the bottom of Gen Z, but like these people on the show now are kind of almost younger than I am. I'm about to turn 25, and some of them are younger than me. We have Aura, Vibe, Cinema, which is the title episode, and then you have Nate had a funny scene where he's trying to like catch up with the lingo of the kids. So I think in comparison to where we saw like John Lovett kind of fall off that trail, he was talking about like Vine and stuff, and that was funny. But there's always a nice scene of them to kind of catch up on current knowledge. But for them to actually bring up brain rot in the show is hilarious, and it gets the episode title, and that was pretty funny. So Nate, I think Nate did a good job like acclimating himself. He's not like being like, oh, what are you kids these days? Well, he's doing that on his own in his own confessional, but he ain't saying that out loud. He's trying to just catch up with them. So I thought that was a funny scene. And they finally make this four-person alliance. Feels like forever, even though it's only been 2 episodes. And the red team, the two who have accepted or who have been accepted into the alliance of Shannon and Savannah is Rizzo and Nate. So, yeah, they were looking Jawan after the fire incident, and Sage has just been kind of invisible and only shows up on the show to talk about either urinating or pooping. So, makes sense that they go with Rizzo and Nate here. I like that four minus the Shannon. I don't know. I don't really care for Jawan or Sage either. So I guess if it has to be someone, it's Shannon. That's fine. I really like Nate though. I really like Rizzo, and I really like Savannah so far on the Red Tribe. But Savannah is gonna become the next Rick Devens with these fucking news segments, man. And immediately after, I'm not. I will say, legally and like actually, I'm not spoiled on anything. I literally deleted Twitter. I don't know who wins any season. I don't know whatever. All I know is who's on season 50, and I know the tribe divisions for season 50. So when she does this news segment, I literally am watching on my monitors right now, and I pull up the tribe divisions. Guess who she's on a fucking tribe with? Rick Devens. This is gonna be awful, bro. For season 50. So, fuck. I'm not a big fan of Rick Devens. I know y'all casuals out there like Rick Devens. He's not my style, and I was actively rooting against him. So hopefully we don't get too many of these new segments, but I'm sure this will be an episode-ly thing because why not? Back on the blue team, Annie versus Jake. So Jake is pissed off with Annie. She's bossing people around too much, and so she becomes shoe victim number 2, and people are starting to catch on to a little bit where he was way less subtle this time around with it, where he's got to like right in eyes reach really. You can see him just having the shoe. So will the shoe bandit get caught this season? Looking at the preview for next week's episode, it's might be a tough time there, but I don't know who else he's really left with. Well, he could highlight Jeremiah's shoe, I guess. I don't know, but I don't know. The shoe madness continues. That was one of the big talking points of episode 1. It continues on here in episode 2, and then on the Red Tribe we have a little kerfuffle between Jawan and Savannah. So Savannah has her bag. She doesn't like bugs, and then Jawan takes her bag and puts like sticks and stuff in it. Now this was very, very odd of Jawan. You have to check your name, bro. Make sure your name's on that bag. Why would you like? I would never risk taking someone else's bag, especially in a game like this where like these little things can really kind of tear you apart. And we see Savannah gets really annoyed with Jawan over this, and plus the fire incident from last episode. Jawan might be in some trouble, man. But here comes a boat, so we still have journeys. Yay. One person from each tribe has to go. Didn't really care much about it. I feel like nobody really wanted to go on the journeys anymore, so I thought that was interesting. The 3 people who end up going, so for the yellow tribe, we have my man Matt. He's going to head out there, and then for the blue tribe, Jake, and then Jawan for the red tribe. So this is a very interesting journey challenge where usually, you lose something if you lose your vote, and you don't lose your vote on this one. So I actually really like that out of this journey. But the goal is to fill a net with coconuts before they fill yours. So it's kind of just like a little fling the coconuts competition. The winner wins something, and the losers don't lose anything. So I thought that was an interesting play on it because the people who lose can actually be like, yeah, I lost something, but I don't know if the meta is going to allow them to like get away with that. And it seemed like it was okay when they came back to camp, but a lot of people are just believing whatever people say on the journeys, like Alex and Rizzo last episode, and so that's good for the like if they can start to redo shit where you just get something every journey. I don't know. It's good that they're switching it up because it doesn't allow like anyone to just expect people to have something and also have a disadvantage or anything like that. So pretty surprisingly, Jawan wins. Where of the three people, I thought he would have the worst chances, just with Matt Unk having throwing air bags around all day, and then Jake is just obviously a unit. But Jawan is the one to take this home. So good for Jawan. He can either help himself or help his tribe. This is an interesting play here because you don't know, like, the people will never know, but it's up to you to say. I actually really like what Jawan goes with. So it's an extra vote or a challenge, tribal disadvantage. I think Jawan made the perfect decision of picking the tribal disadvantage because as soon as you get back to your camp, you can be like, I've got a tribal disadvantage for them in the challenge. Let's go. Like, that gives us way better chances because two tribes win already. And if we're giving a disadvantage to another tribe, then like we're looking really good right now. And also you can just show that to everyone and not be like, oh yeah, I lost something, and or I didn't, whatever, I didn't get anything. And you have to like hide the extra vote in your bag. You have to be suspect. I don't know. I thought this was like an open advantage. Great decision by Jawan. He chooses the team advantage, and he earns himself some trust. So we saw Savannah was kind of out on him after the bag incident, but she's now back in his corner. She says he made the right decision. I'm starting to like what Jawan's putting out. So I think right now, if their tribe goes to tribal council, Sage would be going home. That's just based off the vibes we've been shown. But I don't know if they ever will be because the blue team is a disaster. Nonetheless, we continue on to something that didn't come up in the first episode was the beware advantages and the idols. So Alex finds the beware advantage. And yeah, a lot of premieres, season 47, season 48 both had like idol searches. This was a very chill premiere in terms of idols, but Alex does find the beware advantage, and the challenge is not unlocked until they lose an immunity challenge, which I thought is an interesting twist. So I think they've kind of leaned into this idea. I remember from season 43 where Cody like had to find the idol last minute to get his vote back. I think they're kind of leaning into that idea of, oh, these idols are a hot item and we have to get them, or like a limited item. We only have a limited amount of time to get them. So it's kind of a weird thing where they only have the time, or they only have a little bit of time to get them before in between losing the immunity challenge and going to tribal. I don't know how much time exactly that is. It's a couple hours. Especially this one is like very public if you don't have a lot of people on your side. But he keeps it to himself for now. And we get to the immunity challenge where Jawan gets to proudly read out his absurd tribal disadvantage for the yellow team. 20 pounds of coconuts on your back. And instead of having, like, I hate explaining the challenges. So if you watch the episode, you know what I'm talking about. 20 pounds of coconuts on your back while you're running through this challenge it's insane. And then there's like a key to unlock a lock. And instead of just having the key, they have to go through 10 keys. I guess that part's not that bad. But right off the bat, like I was like, holy, this is a terrible disadvantage for the yellow tribe. Of course, Jawan's not going to give it to the blue tribe who just lost and hasn't eaten anything. So the yellow tribe, we don't really check in with them at all. I mean, we kind of had one scene with MC and Steven and stuff. Not Steven, MC and Unk. MC coming for Unk, man. Come on, man. Let Unk survive. But just an absurd disadvantage for yellow, and I thought for sure yellow would lose this challenge just given off the disadvantage. But they do not. Blue comes out to a huge lead and then just absolutely chokes in the puzzle. Not going to mince words, like that's just actually what happened. And so yellow wins first, and then red comes in second. I mean, the blue team had nothing on the puzzle. Like they didn't have anything, and they had the most time to do it. So there wasn't really a chance for them. Blue team's going back to tribal council, and you think this is a pretty obvious vote where Annie's going to try and push Jake from before, but no, when we're back at camp, she's now pushing Sophie. And I thought good luck with that, but it seems like there was like an actual consideration from at least Alex and maybe Jeremiah to swing on Sophie. I don't think it would work out for Jeremiah really. So it's like Alex was the only one. Alex was the hinge vote, this vote where obviously, now that they lost the challenge, they got to go for the idol because the window is open. So he's got to get it now. He tells Jake there's a key at the end of a ball, so you have to bring around this huge chain and ball and chain, which is crazy that Jake's just carrying it around on his shoulders and Annie doesn't see him. I guess by the time of tribal, everyone knows that Alex has the idol anyway. So Sophie finds the box that you need to unlock, which I thought was a really interesting dynamic where now she needs that key and she tries to like slightly bring it over, but Alex stumbles upon the box himself, so he gets the idol and everyone knows about it. He gets his vote back. I don't even know if he was going to lose his vote. I imagine he was if there was limited time on it. And Alex now has the idol. Jeremiah also joined the search, so that four-person alliance knows about it. And then he tells Annie, who he's got a secret connection with. Annie is going to know as well heading into this tribal council. So the whole idea here is, will Alex play the idol on Annie? And throughout most of this episode, I thought if Blue went back to tribal, it would be a pretty obvious Annie boot, but it wasn't, because Alex now has this idol. So I made it a little bit complicated. I will give them credit for that, but I always kind of just figured Annie was going to go anyways. And then when Alex doesn't play that idol, it's obvious Annie's going home. Interesting tribal. Andy says there's no trust in Survivor, so I think Sophie kind of pushed back on that. This is kind of a little Sophie versus Andy, like pseudo war here at Tribal Council. Not the most boring Tribal Council, but not the most crazy Tribal Council. And then Andy switches her statement later. There is trust in Survivor, blah blah blah. So yeah, I thought after Tribal, like just watching what happened in Tribal, I didn't think Alex was gonna make the move, and he doesn't. So Andy is voted off in a 4-1 vote. Now, theoretically, let's talk if Alex does make it through or does make this move. He doesn't have the idol anymore. He is with Jake. I guess they were going to take out Sophie, so he's with Jake. I guess, I don't really like that position, though, because who are you taking out next? You're going to keep Annie and Jake and take out, I guess you could take out Jeremiah as fodder, but, like, you're going back to another tribal council probably. I guess in this position now, Jake's got him and Sophie, so it would just be Jeremiah next, but I don't know, man. Alex might have to play this idol. I think if Blue goes to Tribal Council again, that would actually be really interesting to see who goes. And maybe they'll just swap so they don't. 16 people. No, they can't. Well, 2 tribes of 8. Imagine they do a swap to 2 tribes of 8. That'd be crazy, but I doubt they would do that. And we would have seen something on the preview, so definitely not. Anyways, I don't know if Alex made the right move. I think he did, just because you have the idol at protection, and you have Jake, you have Sophie, you have that 3. I don't know what his relationship's like with Jeremiah, but Jeremiah seems like the easy boot, and then Jake should have him as his number 1. If he doesn't, you can play the idol and get either Sophie or Jake out of it would probably be Sophie. So, I don't know. I thought Sophie's position, I thought she was one of my winner candidates in week 1, but I moved her down out of the top 3 because I thought this was a pretty bad episode for Sophie, where she fumbles in the puzzle, loses out on the idol, and then like seemingly could have a decent chance of going home here. Anyways, Annie is gone. Lots of love yous. We're on day 5. Love you used to mean something, guys. Annie says love you to everyone. Hugs Jeff. It's always nice to get a Jeff hug. And that's it for Annie, man. I didn't really care much for Annie either. She felt like kind of like an eccentric, like a little bit odd character, which, I'm not going to judge that. She was on one of my fantasy teams. I think I have a lot of this cast, and I have like 4 fantasy teams, so she was on one of them, and we took the loss on that one. She was my second to last round pick. Annie, shout out. You tried your best. I don't know what Annie could have done different. Maybe just made more bonds on day 1 and not gone off on her own, but she was going up against 4-person alliance. Not much you can do there. And then we see the preview for next week's episode, where it looks like there's just going to be a snake involved, potentially taking out Jake. So that'll be interesting when we see that. Yeah. So that's episode 2, Cinema. My top 3 to win. I have 2 of the same people from last week, so I moved Alex up to number 1. I feel like he's getting a lot of content right now. I don't know if it's circumstantial, but I feel like he's got a good story. Like he has the DC shtick. He's kind of the main character of the season right now. He's got the idol. He's in a very good position right now on the Blue tribe, even if they were to go to like another tribal or 2. Number 2, I got Savannah. She feels like the main narrator for the Red tribe. Kind of is like the judgment of character is what I would describe her as, of Jawan, where it's like she's explaining how we're supposed to feel about Jawan taking the bag, and then she's explaining how his advantage or disadvantage for the team is good for everyone. Number 3, I got Nate. I thought Nate had a really endearing season or episode 2 here, where he's trying to catch up with the lingo of the kids, gets into the alliance. He's chilling right now too. So I thought there's a lot to Nate's story with the movies and stuff too as well. So I think those are my top 3. I mean, Sophie, I mentioned, dropped out. This was a very hard episode to pick one because the Yellow Tribe, we don't know much going on there other than like Matt made an alliance, and then MC's like, yeah, I don't want to be in that alliance. Oh, that was actually I should have wrote that down because Matt brought that up terribly. Unk is my man. Unk's my favorite character on this season, but the way he brought that up, like, oh, like you could be our fourth, like never say it like that. That's just terrible gameplay. Come on, Unk. I don't know. Hopefully he doesn't go home anytime soon. So other candidates to win, I mean, Steven had a good episode 1, I thought. I don't really know what was like meant to be thinking of him after he was invisible this episode. I mean, yeah, this episode was just weird to pick a winner. So those are my top 3: Alex, Savannah, then Nate. Top 3 out next, I got Jake number 1, just due to potentially snakebite. Sophie number 2. I should have put Jeremiah as 3 now because now I'm thinking about it. But Sophie almost went out this round. Could think of that. Could see her going home. Jake only medevaced maybe and like can't participate. And then Sage, because she looks like the odd one out in the red tribe. Yellow tribe dynamics are impossible to figure out right now, and blue tribe, Jeremiah would be number 4 probably, but they have to win, right? Like, let's even this playing field out a little bit. Let's gotta send a different team to tribal council because it's not fun when we get the same team back. And well, it is fun in a different way, but it's nice to see different teams get in there. And I kind of like everyone left on the blue tribe. Yeah, I like everyone left on the blue tribe, and I like Sophie, man. So let's keep Sophie around. Let's keep Alex around. Let's keep Jake around. Let's keep Jeremiah around. All right, guys. Episode 2, Cinema in the Books. What are your thoughts? Who are your top 3 to win? Who are your top 3 out next? Hopefully next week we'll be back with a guest, but I'll leave you all with that. And as always, be easy, y'all.